Good morning, Florida. I just want to talk to you guys about what we just saw in the continuing resolution plan. And if you go out to pull this plan, based on what you're looking at, it's going to be pretty much a 70 to 74 page document. And what you're going to see in there and how you understand the reading. Here's an example. Rural Housing Service, Rural Community Facilities Program, except all that follows after, in parentheses, expended, close parentheses, in such a matter, and except that such matter shall be applied by substituting 25,300,000 for 75,300,000. When you see and you hear these words, in such a matter, and except that such matter shall be applied by substituting. This is the language that I'm referencing often when I say that K through 12, we really don't teach these understandings when they are using these terminologies to afford or take away from or affect how we live. That's very important. So as a governor, it's my job to say, hey, they just passed this bill. How does it affect you? So then we have to go and we have to start breaking this stuff down to give you guys the best understanding. Now, first off, you got to understand that rural housing. What is that? Well, first and foremost, you got to get that the census does not define rural. They consider rural to include all people, housing, and territory that are not within an urban area. The census, the national census, define urban areas as 50,000 or more people. Urban clusters as 2,500 to 400 and the 49,999 people. I know this is a lot of data, but just bear with me in understanding this, because then it gets down to the state level and what we're looking at in our state. And now you have to say, okay, I'm in Florida. What does that mean? How does Florida define rural? Well, Florida defines rural counties as a county with a population of 75,000 or less. A county with a population of 125,000 or less that is contiguous to a county with a population of 75,000 or less, right? So now Florida has quite a few rural counties. Walton, Holmes, Washington, Jackson, Calhoun, Gulf, Franklin, Liberty, Gaston, Wakulla, Jefferson, Taylor, Madison, Hamilton, Sewanee, Lafayette, Dixie, Levy, Columbia, Union, Baker, Bradford, Nassau, Putnam, Flagler, Hardy, Highlands, Okeechobee, DeSoto, Glades, and Hendry. This is under section 288.0656 of the Florida statutes. That is rural counties in Florida. So what we're kind of trying to understand is when you go through the continuing resolution bill, the original amount that was given for these areas to utilize was 75,300,000, which is now reduced to 25,300,000. This is what you will see throughout the beginning of the continuing resolution plan. You will see a smaller number that has now been the smaller number first is the new number. The larger number is the number that used to be there. So essentially what you're seeing is a cut. When you see these cuts, you need to understand that that is going to also affect when those fundings start trickling down to the states, what is given now. Because let's just be realistic. If you were given 75,300,000 for rural housing, and we're looking at rural counties and breaking all of that down into what we consider to be rural, since the overall census looks at this one way, now we have to explain to the people how we allocate this funding. Less funding. Less funding means that the citizen will now have to figure out what to do to make up for what was given. That's just an important piece of what's going on. So we need to make sure that we are prepared to explain this to our citizens. Hey, this is how the continuing resolution will affect our state. Now, I'm not saying that right now our current structure is not putting all of this in place and they're going to come out and explain this in a way that we can all understand it. I'm not saying that. I don't know if, we're going to get letters in the mail or you're going to start seeing something less, some form of assistance that is now not there anymore. But you can guarantee that's about to happen. That is about to happen. The cuts did come with this next bill. And when you go through this continuing resolution plan and you start to ask yourself, okay, when I look at a title word, now that I understand that the smaller number is now in place of the larger number, does the title word affect where I am? If it does affect where I am, what is it that I'm getting from it or that I was getting from it? This is how we have to start leading and governing. When I become governor of Florida, I will ensure that those representatives that are put in place start to explain out to its citizens through mass means how they will be affected by the policies that are laid down by the federal government and what we're going to do as a state to counteract some of these new hardships that are going to come when we remove funding. It's very important to make sure that we are educated and that we are being as transparent as possible and understanding the lingo that is used and why it has such an effect on everyday citizens to shut the government down, and exactly how these agencies that we pay taxes into trickle up and down. I just, if you have any questions or you just want to just know any more, feel free to just ask. I'm always researching, I'm always studying, but I do hope that I'm doing the best I can to give you guys a layman's term breakdown. I'm still looking into a lot of things. There are a lot of people that will be affected, and we'll probably start, eventually we'll see videos, but we know that it's 45 days. So whatever's going to happen in the next 45 days will happen. And we're going to, weather the storm together as citizens. We're going to weather the storm. I know this video was a little longer than my normals, but I wanted to just explain that out. Take some time out to go through the continuing resolution and see how it's going to affect you. And I assure you that there were some cuts. There were some cuts made, 100%. And we are going to figure out how those cuts are going to affect us through experience. And hopefully, again, we will get an understanding from our elected representatives, our mayors, and our governor, who should be telling our mayors, hey, get this information out to the people. We elected people to represent districts. We elected people to represent counties. Get this information out to the people and report back to me and let me know how you did that, so that they know, based on the new data that's out, how they will be affected. And then we need to come up with plans or what we can do to lessen the impact. Have a great day.